You're on.
I first met Val Gray Ward about, I was going to say 50 years ago, but it's probably 60 years ago. And when I first heard her, she was doing, she was not performing actually, but sharing The Creation by James Weldon Johnson. And she was sharing it in a way that her preacher would have done it had he in 1865. And I thought it was the most fabulous thing. She had just started Kuumba workshop, and she was working with a lot of people. But mostly what she brought to everybody was the joy of giving voice to the poetry. And as a poet, I was just totally fascinated. I bet you, Val and I must have talked at least every other day. We talked so much just to see what was going on. And I was always so sorry that she didn't have the career that I thought, and I think many people thought she should have had. She had a great voice, and you always wanted her to go to Disney and be one of the voices of one of the, Wiz or whatever it is that was going on. And you always wanted her to be rich, but being rich was not something that she wanted to be. She wanted to be the voice of the people. And as a Mississippian, she had a lot of love for the people. And it was always a pleasure to be around Val, because she always gave so much. And her quilt, as anyone can tell you, her quilt had little pieces of all of us. Every time I went someplace, she would say, "Now be sure to bring me a square." And even when I was in Iceland, which was the last time I actually saw Val, I had to cut out. I bought a blanket, and I had to cut out a quilt for her. I think the joy that Val was one of the most important voices in the Black arts movement. And I think that in many respects, she was not as well known as she should have been. And yet it didn't bother her, didn't bother Val, because Val said, well, she was doing what she was sent to do. And what she was sent to do was to remind us that we had a voice and that we had someone who loved us. And we, of course, loved her. It was always a pleasure to be around her, to hear what she was doing, to hear what she was thinking, to see what she was producing. It was always just, she was a very creative individual. And my dream, I am not 100% right now, I'm a little sick, but my dream is to have a statue created for Val. I've been working on it, and I will continue to work on it until I can no longer work on it, to have a statue created for Val, and to have it at, of course, Furious Flower, which was named after Gwendolyn Brooks. And they were close to in Chicago, as Val married, of course, Francis, and they migrated, as did many people, up to Chicago. And it was Chicago's good luck that they did. But you have to wonder, what if she had stayed in Mississippi, creating what Fannie Lou Hamer started, creating a workshop, creating someplace for children to be, that they begin to understand they have a voice. And I think that Val sitting in heaven, recognizing that she has done her job, and she has to be sitting there smiling, saying, well, I did it. And I think that we who are still here on earth have to just kind of look up and say, well done, dear sister. Well done. Thank you. I'm Nikki Giovanni. I'm just a poet.